That's fine. We also have a speed advantage. It gets a little bit unfair.
Shows, and so we've been to Manchester. Tell them, guys. I think I'm just more gutted because I've been out for so long, and then I've come back and.
They tried dirty tactics against Dakota Ditcheva, grabbing, fouling, anything to slow her down. But when Dakota finally snapped back, the KO that followed was absolutely brutal. Dakota Ditcheva built her reputation as one of the most dangerous rising fighters in women's MMA by combining elegant striking, world-class Muay Thai, ruthless aggression, and a calm, icy demeanor that hides the violence she can unleash within seconds. But nothing showcased her dominance more than her clashes against fighters who tried to bully her, disrespect her, or use unfair advantages, including banned substances, to intimidate her. One of the most dramatic examples came when Dakota faced Talia Santos, a former UFC title challenger known for her physical strength, grappling, and powerful frame. Santos had been suspended for steroid use, and when she finally returned to competition, she targeted Dakota with arrogance and mocking gestures, even applying lipstick during the build-up to insult her Barbie persona. But Dakota was not offended, she was motivated. For Dakota, Santos was not just another opponent. She was an opportunity to send a message about what happens when someone tries to bully or cheat their way into an advantage. And when they finally met inside the Smart Cage in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia for the $1,000 PFL Championship prize, Dakota entered the arena looking relaxed, composed, and ready for the biggest fight of her career. From the moment the bell rang, Dakota showed she wanted no part of Santos' fake respect. She refused to touch gloves, her face expressionless as she stepped forward with full focus. She opened immediately with her long-range weapons, firing sharp leg kicks and clean jabs that kept Santos at bay. The commentators quickly pointed out that Santos had far more professional fights, but experience alone meant nothing when compared to Dakota's intelligence and precision. Santos tried following her game plan of drawing Dakota forward and timing a takedown, but Dakota punished her every time she entered range. A heavy right hand cracked Santos early, visibly catching her attention. Santos, stunned but stubborn, lunged into the clinch where she believed she had an advantage. She locked in double underhooks, trying to muscle Dakota against the fence. But Dakota, surprisingly strong for her frame, maintained excellent balance and hand control. Even when Santos managed to secure the first takedown of the fight, Dakota immediately scrambled, stood up, and reversed the position in seconds. The difference in physical strength that many expected from Santos simply did not appear. Dakota had prepared for everything. Santos kept hunting takedowns, trying desperately to drag Dakota into her world. But each time Dakota escaped, framed, rolled her hips, and stuffed the attempts. As soon as she created space, she snapped her long kicks into Santos' face and body. Her push kick repeatedly blasted Santos off balance. Her jabs pierced Santos' guard. Her movement frustrated the Brazilian, who tried to hide her growing frustration behind forward pressure. Even when Santos managed to drag Dakota into a clinch again, Dakota's elbow work and knee strikes forced Santos to let go. Santos' face began absorbing the damage, while Dakota barely had a mark on her. Then came the moment that shifted the entire fight. After feeling Santos' best grappling shots, Dakota decided to turn up the pace. She unleashed a beautiful, spinning elbow along the fence, snapping Santos' head to the side and sending a ripple of shock through the crowd. She followed with a flurry of violent punches, mixing headshots with heavy knees to the body. Santos was absorbing far more than she could handle. Dakota's front kicks smashed into her face repeatedly, painting the side of Santos' cheek in bruises. Every time Santos attempted a jab, Dakota countered with something twice as powerful. Dakota's composure was frightening. She looked like she was operating in slow motion, while Santos swung desperately. Dakota's footwork was another problem Santos couldn't solve. Every shot from Santos was evaded, as if Dakota saw them coming from a mile away. Fans screamed as Dakota moved backward with perfect balance, dodging combinations and answering with crisp counters. The more Santos tried to rush forward, the more Dakota punished her. As the round neared its final minute, Dakota began dominating entirely. Her combinations were fast, clean, and cruel. She landed multiple right hands in a row, then an elbow to finish the sequence. Santos stumbled, Dakota smelled blood. She opened up with even more power, sending Santos into survival mode. A hard knee to the body folded the Brazilian for a moment, forcing her to retreat. Dakota stalked her calmly, switching stances, smiling slightly, and stepping into a predatory rhythm that looked almost identical to Israel Adesanya in his prime. She controlled the cage, controlled the pace, and controlled Santos's fate. The bell saved Santos, but the damage was already severe. Round 2 began with even more brutality from the British-Bulgarian phenom. Dakota immediately fired 2 massive knees up the middle, slamming them into Santos' body. It was the type of body attack that drains energy and destroys confidence. Santos attempted to counter by throwing wild shots and diving for the hips, but she only managed to expose herself further. Dakota punished her with jabs, knees, and teeps to the midsection. The Brazilian continued trying to sniff Dakota's waist, clinging on to takedown attempts that never had a chance to succeed. Dakota stripped her grips effortlessly, spinning off the fence and freeing her wrist with beautiful technique. The speed difference was painful to watch. Dakota looked like she was 2 steps ahead at every moment. Santos continued biting hard on every one of Dakota's feints. Dakota would extend her lead hand, pause, tilt her head, and Santos reacted instantly, which allowed Dakota to pick her apart strategically. Front kicks plastered Santos's face. Body kicks slammed into her ribs. Even simple jabs turned Santos's head sideways. Dakota mixed levels brilliantly, attacking both the head and body with perfect timing. When Santos tried to push forward, Dakota landed the straight left. When Santos circled, Dakota chopped her leg. When Santos crashed forward again, Dakota kneed her in the stomach hard enough to visibly fold her. At moments, Santos appeared as if she might build momentum, especially when she forced Dakota against the cage. But every time she tried to settle into a grappling sequence, Dakota exploded out of it, refusing to let the fight slow down. Her takedown defense was phenomenal, her balance incredible, and her escapes effortless. When Santos finally managed to drag Dakota down again, Dakota immediately bounced back to her feet, refusing to stay grounded for even a second. The commentators were stunned at how quickly she reset. Dakota's punishment accumulated on Santos's body. Sharp knees penetrated her ribs. Clean right hands punished her jaw. Even when Santos backed up and tried to recover, Dakota overwhelmed her with volume and accuracy. The crowd in Riyadh chanted wildly as Dakota continued to showcase the most complete performance of her career. Then came the most vicious sequence yet, a spinning elbow followed by a 2-piece combination that snapped Santos's head back violently. Dakota smelled blood again, stepped in, and blasted Santos with more powerful shots. Santos's face swelled, her breathing became labored, and her confidence vanished altogether. But Dakota was not done. Before the round ended, Dakota added even more damage by smashing a long, stabbing knee into Santos's liver. Santos's body jolted in pain. That knee alone could have ended the fight for many athletes. But the cheater from the UFC kept trying to hold on. The crowd roared as Dakota stepped forward, eyes locked, prepared to finish the fight in round 3. As round 3 began, everyone inside the arena sensed the end approaching. Dakota Ditcheva walked forward with complete confidence, while Talia Santos looked exhausted, bruised, and mentally overwhelmed. Santos tried once again to push Dakota against the fence, hoping to slow the pace and steal a takedown. But Dakota's defense remained flawless. She peeled Santos's grips apart, used her frames perfectly, and kept resetting the distance with ease. Whenever Santos attempted a level change, Dakota saw it coming before it even happened. She circled away with smooth footwork, keeping Santos stuck in a pattern of desperation and frustration. Even from long range, Dakota made Santos look slow. Her long legs snapped forward with piston-like speed, striking Santos's midsection and chin repeatedly. With each exchange, Dakota looked more in control, and Santos looked more like a battered opponent trying to survive. Santos's reactions became slower, and Dakota took advantage instantly. She stabbed teeps into the Brazilian's chest, forcing her backward again and again. Each time Santos tried to strike, Dakota countered with sharp combinations, straight punches, hooks, kicks, and clean body shots that created visible damage. The difference in class was undeniable. Dakota's combinations flowed naturally, while Santos looked rigid and drained. Even when Santos landed a rare shot, Dakota walked right through it and returned with something heavier. The commentators pointed out how Dakota's confidence was growing with every second. She no longer looked like a fighter defending a lead. She looked like a hunter closing in on the finish. Then halfway through the round, Dakota unleashed another brutal series of shots. She cracked Santos with a straight right, immediately followed by a knee that lifted Santos slightly off her feet. Santos stumbled backward, dazed and unable to regain balance. Dakota stayed patient, stalking her carefully. Her eyes were calm, analytical, predatory. She wasn't rushing the finish. She was choosing the perfect moment. Santos tried to clinch once more, but Dakota broke free instantly and fired a huge left hook that snapped Santos's head sideways. The crowd erupted. Dakota then threw another spinning elbow, which connected cleanly. The blow sliced through Santos' guard, leaving her disoriented. Her legs wobbled. Her arms dropped. She desperately tried to grab Dakota again to survive, but Dakota punished her with a barrage of knees to the ribs. As the final minute approached, Santos was in full retreat mode. Dakota controlled the center of the cage, cutting off angles and giving Santos no room to breathe. A stiff jab stopped Santos in her tracks, followed by a hard cross that sent her stumbling. Dakota landed yet another knee as Santos bent forward, her body folding under the pressure. With every strike, Dakota showed why she is one of the most dangerous rising stars in MMA, a fighter with elite composure, striking mastery, and fight IQ far beyond her age. She toyed with Santos at times, stepping forward with smooth footwork, switching stances and firing combinations that looked effortless but landed with devastating power. When the round ended, Santos walked to her corner, bruised, battered, and broken. Dakota stood tall, barely breathing heavily, looking like she had just completed a light sparring session. The judges had an easy job. Dakota won all 3 rounds with absolute dominance. And when the official decision was read, Dakota was crowned the PFL World Champion and awarded $1,000. She smiled, calm and composed, as though she had expected this result all along. Santos, the former UFC title challenger, who once mocked Dakota, who once insulted her with lipstick and arrogance, left the cage humbled. Her cheating past, her steroid suspension, her disrespect, none of it mattered in the end. Because in the smart cage, skill always reveals the truth. This fight became one of the biggest statements in Dakota's career. She had dominated a fighter many believed would be her toughest test. Santos had the experience, the physical size, the UFC pedigree, and the grappling credentials. But none of that could match Dakota's technical brilliance. Dakota proved that she wasn't just a striker, she was a complete mixed martial artist. Her takedown defense was sharp, her clinch work dangerous, her cardio flawless, and her striking levels above almost everyone in her division. The victory solidified her as the face of the PFL women's division, a future global superstar, and a fighter destined for greatness. But most importantly, it showed that disrespectful opponents, especially those with a history of cheating, cannot survive once Dakota Ditcheva goes into her cold, focused, hunting mindset. And this wasn't the first time Dakota destroyed someone who underestimated her. Throughout her career, she faced fighters who talked arrogantly before the fight, only to crumble once she touched them. She has silenced trash talkers, humbled champions, and embarrassed women who thought experience alone would be enough. Dakota fights with the intelligence of a veteran and the hunger of a rising phenom. She never loses her composure. She never shows frustration. Instead, she stays cool, studies her opponent's weaknesses, and then dismantles them methodically, just as she did to Talia Santos. Dakota Ditcheva is now one of the most feared women in MMA, and everyone understands the same rule. Never underestimate her and never disrespect her. Cheaters, trash talkers, bullies, they all fall the same way. Santos walked in confident and mocking, but she walked out bruised, defeated, and humbled. Dakota left with the $1 million check, the PFL championship belt, and the respect of every fan watching. And with every victory, she continues shaping a legacy defined not just by wins, but by the brutal ways she makes doubters regret ever opening their mouths.